And of course, I am muted. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another edition of Monday Night America here on the NTV Media Network. Yes, for those of you that are deaf and you're looking at it, you're seeing it twice. I am so sorry. Today is December 16th, 2024, and we're finishing the year with the paranormal type of theme. Monday Night America will return in January to its usual format, which is something I miss doing. But I'm glad I'm back to doing Monday Night America, and we'll see what the schedule holds. But I am contemplating a return to my regular time, which is 7 p.m. Pacific time, and it allows me to do what I need to do. But I have announced it already. I'm officially announcing it. Monday Night America will return in January. So it'll be the 1st, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. January 6th will be at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern. So we'll see what happens, and I'm looking forward to it. But for now, approximately, see, that would be 13, 14, 15, about 16 minutes ago, we do have a touch of breaking news, and we are going to get to it right now. It is significant. Apparently, there has been, it's been downgraded now. We had a 7.4 earthquake 30 kilometers west of Port Vila in Vanuatu in the Pacific Ocean. And we're going to show it to you on the map right now. We're going to head on over there to take a look so you can see where it is. And it is a big deal. For those of you that are geographically challenged, this is the United States. This is California. This is New York, Maryland, Florida, Mexico, Canada, and the like. Across the Pacific, there's Hawaii. It's amazing to me how many Americans really don't know geography. It's really quite sad, but I do. So be it. Here is Australia, New Zealand, and here's Vanuatu, and there is the earthquake. 7.3, a significant event, and there's regional information. If you head on over to usgs.gov and you click on right here, the latest earthquakes, it'll take you to the map, and you can click directly on the map. And this map tells you the light blue is the one you've clicked on. See how the color changes? So if you're looking at this map, if it's red, the event took place within the last hour. And if it's orange, it's within the last week. So, and obviously the size of the circle signifies the magnitude. And everything on this map is more than a magnitude 2.5. And it looks like it's set up for the past day. So red is within the last hour. Orange, or I suppose yellow. I don't know. It depends. It's orange, I suppose. It's more than an hour, and it looks like it's only within the last day. Now you're able to change the settings, but that's what it is. It was a 7.4 up until about 3 minutes ago. Now it's a 7.3. As happens when you start collecting all the information on a seismic event, it will downgrade. And I will show you maybe a little bit later when we go into the history of significant earthquakes. The one that got it going in the modern era here in Southern California was October 1st, 1987. It was the first significant quake that we'd had since the early 70s, the Silmar quake, which was significant. But the Whittier quake was a 5.9 on October 1st. Tiny bit of trivia, there was a 5.0 aftershock on October 1st, 1988. Many people forget that. But that is in Southern California. Right now, Vanuatu, a 7.3. As I say, as you click on it, you have further information. There is almost undoubtedly a tsunami warning at this point. So if you want to go ahead and check it out, you can click on tsunami right here. The event happened about 20 minutes ago. So for us to feel tsunami over here in Southern California, specifically Los Angeles, we're about 18 to 20 hours away. Maybe a little bit less. I think we're about 18 hours. Maybe less. There almost undoubtedly will be a tsunami, but again, it's registered in millimeters. Well, no, actually, it's 7.1. So, yeah, we could have centimeters on this one. I don't know the duration of the earthquake. We'll have to get that information a little bit later. But right now, it was significant. And if you really want to help out USGS, now, obviously, if you're not in Vanuatu, for you to feel this, felt, report, tell us, did you feel it? You can contribute. I do it for every earthquake in my area, and sometimes for earthquakes that are not in my area. Obviously, I'm answering no, 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 no to everything if it's out of my area, but I do answer them, and it helps USGS collect an incredible amount of information, and it's cool. You are a part of history. That is neat. So if you felt it, go ahead and go here. And if you take a look at the map, obviously there's not much information at the moment. It looks like, oh, we're actually getting some reports already. Yeah, look at that. So there's already one response 52 kilometers from it. And it's neat. I don't think you can click on the response itself right now, but you can see the answers that people have provided, and it is really cool. And it provides a great deal of information both to USGS as well as to the world community. So it's cool. Um, if you move over to, I believe, here we go. Still a lot of activity off the coast of Oregon. There was an earthquake within the last hour, a 5.7 earthquake off the coast of California in Petrolia. So if you click on that one, going down here, and you check the shake map, look at that. You already have a few responses. And based on the responses, they're able to come up with intensity, damage, and shaking. That is cool. So you are able to contribute to that. Yeah, there's the map. That's where all the responses are that they've received right now. It's really cool. But all right. Can drop the breaking news and head back to ndbmedia.net. Our opening theme by Robert Summers Potterton III. Thank you. You can check his stuff out right there at rsp3.com. A wonderful composer. And like I said, really good stuff. And we thank you for that. So head on over to ndbmedia.net. So, how cold is it here today? It's only 61 degrees right now. It's been cold, especially when I've had programs early in the morning. They have been cold. So, but it's all right now. I'm going to go a bit off topic. We're going to go to the NFL right now because, as you know, Sports Talk with the Guys, we have a very competitive thing that's going on right now. And sure enough, look at that. Second quarter, Minnesota. Okay, I chose Minnesota. Duh, that was an easy one. They're up 10-0 with 49 seconds left in the second quarter. If anyone has a chance to win, I felt it was the Raiders because I had the feeling that the Raiders would. Atlanta has been incredibly charitable in the last 4 games. They're on a 4-game losing streak, but their defense has been torched for approximately 350 yards a game on average over the last 4 games. So you got a Raiders rookie quarterback, I suppose. Well, their rookie guy's out, and they have their backup quarterback. So, yeah, I'm glad it's not a blowout, but I did choose the Raiders. It was a gimme to everyone in the group. I know I shouldn't say that, but I did. And if I lose, I'm still up 5 games on everyone entering the last 3 weeks. There's 16, 17, 18. I don't know if anyone's ever had a lead like this. I'd have to go back and take a look at a lot of it. No, I'm not. I could go back and take a look. No. this is basically what I call the 2024 year. I'm winning. In 2023, it was Tony. In 2022, so it would be 2024, 2025. But you started in 2024. That's the way I would end. But if I'm at work, it's fiscal year 2024, 25. So we call it fiscal year 25. Ugh. Anyway, in 2024, because the majority of games are played, I'm winning this year. Last year, it would be, and I would. Oh, sorry, just got a text message from one of our hosts. So, actually, was it a text message or an email? Oh, okay. Oh, I wonder if Bob is actually watching right now. So, I apologize for that distraction. But anyway, that's what's going on in the NFL at the moment. So, oh, the Raiders just scored a field goal. So it's 7-3. I don't expect them to win, but it's okay. I think for the week, I don't know what I am. I've done well, but at one point, I was 8-0 in the first counting Thursday, and the morning games I was 8-0, and I had opened up an 8-game lead. Wow! If the Raiders win, I will be up by 6 with 3 weeks to go. Wow! I don't think that's going to happen. I just wanted to go for the Raiders, and we'll see. There's a lot of time in the second quarter. 11:44 left, and I think we'll be watching as we go along. But anyway, it's June 13th, 2024, and I wanted to continue with the paranormal stuff. I did allude that Monday Night America will be returning to its roots, where we do current events, commentary, and it's a newsy evening program. I've done it since the last Tuesday in September of 2008. That's how long Monday Night America has been on. It's one of the longest running programs on the internet. I don't know if there are any others. That's a good cup of Joe. So, sticking with the paranormal stories, I know it's not October, and maybe next year we're going to emphasize. I don't know what I'm going to do. I really don't. So, oh, I think we have some news right now. I think the soft opening to the Jet Center will not take place after all. Cool. Coolio. I am live right now. I'm telling him. I'm texting him. He's out in New Jersey. That's late. I hope you feel better, Bob. All right. So that's cool. So our Wednesday program is going to have to be moved, and that's fine. So yeah, I'm going to fix the calendars. I have to make a note of that. But anyway, ghost stories in the holidays, they don't just happen in October, they're year round. I told you about some of them. And I want to go ahead and put a notice out, folks, that if you have any stories that you want to share with us, please let us know. And I believe this paranormal stuff can have its own program. And I'm thinking of moving it maybe to another night of the week. I don't know. Wednesday night is somewhat open. I might want to do that. I might move it to a Wednesday night and see. But we are looking. Oh, can I call now? He wants to talk to me. I am doing a live program. We'll see if he comes in right now. I will send him the link via Facebook. This is funny. So who knows? Bob may join us tonight. Let me do that right now. Invite. And if anyone else wants to join us, I'm going to leave the invite and I'm going to put it on screen. And if you're interested, just come on in. I'll see if I take your call. But you're able to do it. You don't have to show your face, but you do need to activate your mic. And you can tell us if you have any stories that you want to share. But there is the link right now. Let me go ahead and send this to uh, the wonderful gentleman. And let me see. Bob. There he is. All right, just send it to him. Okay, who knows? He may join us, he may not. We'll see. Oh, he's responding to me. All right, sorry. Paranormal stories are year round. And I was going to really hit some of the Latin stories that are just south of me in Baja California, as well as in many parts of Mexico. When another host and I, a cryptid author, was doing some programs in 2021, it was really fun doing those programs with him. And we did a world tour, if you will. We started with the United States, we went south, we went to Europe, Africa, and Asia. And it was really cool. We did it over a 2 or 3 month period. It was a lot of fun. We ourselves learned quite a bit, especially, I think it was, forgive me a moment, I think it was out of the Africa place. Yes, I'm sorry. I had a terrible itch that I had to get to. Whew. And I was stunned at the number of paranormal and cryptids in Africa, and even in the family country of Mexico. My parents are from Mexico, raised there, and they immigrated to the United States, and I was born here. And I'm going to be traveling, hopefully, next year to Mexico. I'm looking for places. We'll leave it at that. And I'm going to be doing a little bit of traveling because I think we're leaving California. I don't want to actually address this right now, but one thing led to another. Yeah, I think I'm done. As much as I love California, it's my home state. I am looking to change some things in my life, and I'm moving forward. I really don't know if my daughters are going to come along with me, but they may not. I don't know. We'll see. But I am looking forward to these changes, and it's going to be an interesting year. So, but I'm going to be heading south probably after April. I'm going to be scouting out some locations. And speaking of scouting out some locations, ladies and gentlemen, let us bring him aboard right now. The man, the myth, the one who is Bob. How are you, sir?
How are you, Roger? Well, been a little better. Just got back in country, and just getting home with the flights was a hell of a job. How are you?
I am doing well, young man. I understand you caught a bit of a bug. Is this a European, Slavic, Spanish? Was it a Spanish
Yeah,
fly, Bob?
I think, just a combination of exhaustion and a bit of a head cold.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So, what was your flight? How many hours coming in from the
I
European continent?
flew from Sarasota to Charlotte, Charlotte to Newark, and normally I think I try to fly first class, but I had miles on American. So the first leg wasn't bad. The second leg from Charlotte to Newark crunched in a rather large sized individual sitting next to me, overlapping onto my seat. I'm trying to squish away and didn't work. And I was going to sneeze in her face, but I figured that wouldn't work either.
Yeah. So, you
But
undoubtedly caught it from that person, right?
I think it was coming on before that. But my trip was good. I'm working on a book. I think I mentioned to you once before about the greatest rivalry in sports history, Yankees and the Red Sox.
Yes.
And I took a cruise because there were 9 Yankees, ex-Yankees on the cruise.
Wow.
Ronnie Bloomberg, who's an old friend, played first base for the Yankees, first
Yes.
designated hitter. Um, Roy White, who was one of the nicest guys ever in baseball. Uh,
Infielder.
Jesse Barfield and his wife. We got kind of friendly with them and be seeing them when they come up to New York. Same thing with Ronnie. And
Mr.
there was,
Barfield played with Toronto and then came over to the Yankees, I believe.
I believe you're right.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got to do some research on them. But Charlie Hayes was there. Jimmy Leyritz was there.
Oh my God, Jimmy Leyritz.
Yep.
Oh, he is. He was one of my favorite players from the moment he showed up. I believe Jimmy is have glove, will travel.
And Jimmy's a nice guy, but I'll tell you what I'll do. I have an autographed picture of him. I'll mail it to you.
Oh my goodness. Hey, you should invite him to be on the program. I'll lose my mind. I have a quick story that when we were in Anaheim, the Yankees were in town and Jimmy was hamming it up in the bullpen. And I'm not sure if you remember Anaheim when they redid the stadium. The home team bullpen was at the bottom, and on a graduated level, you had the visiting team. Well, Jimmy was out there and he was hamming it up, and I was maybe 6, 7 rows back, and I had a ratty Yankee cap. And he looked up into the stands, and I had my camera and I pointed at it, and he hammed it up, dude, right away. He posed, and I took some pictures, and I was like, "Thank you, sir." And the funny thing is, I am actually friends with Mr. Leyritz on Facebook, but you don't cross that line, right, Bob? You're friends. You don't discuss business and stuff. I've been wanting, almost begging him to be on the program, but
Well,
I.
let's see if I can convince him to do it. His
Oh my
fa- his most
God!
his most famous thing was that stiff leg out in his batting stance. The most unusual batting stance ever. My daughter, we were with him one day,
Yes.
quite a number of years ago. She busted his chops. Jimmy, show me the leg. Show me how you stand with the leg. But he smiled. He worked with her, kidding around and what have you. Nice guy. I mean, it was a whole crew of nice guys.
Did you know that when he was on the Yankees, they called him Elvis?
I did not know that.
Yes, because he was a bit of a showman, I suppose. And seeing him in the dugout hamming it up, and he sees this wacko with a ratty, Yankee cap. You could see the NY. And I asked him. I had my camera there, and I pointed at it. Dude, he immediately posed. I'll never ever forget that. He was so kind. And
Every time I've seen him, he's had a big smile on his face.
dude, and knowing what's happened to him in real life, oh my goodness, to be smiling all the time, that is amazing. But my wife and, well, at the time, my wife and I, we were watching 1996, Bob, game 4 against Atlanta. They were up 2 games to 1 at the time. And remember, it was 6-3 in the top of the 8th. And that pitcher, I forget his name for the Braves, he was in to save it. And Jim Leyritz stroked the 3-1 blast to tie it up. And after that moment, the Yankees never trailed in the entire series.
Yes, Dan Schlossberg. He knows everything about the Braves.
Yeah, I forget who it is, but I wouldn't want to give Dan a hard time about that. But oh my
I know. I
God,
do.
Bob,
I do.
you you
I give him a hard time about it every time I talk to him.
you and I have obviously the love for the Yankees and we respect one another, but I try to respect Dan as well. See, you and I can write each other on our Yankee love, which is great. We acknowledge what we have. We're realists. And I think it's awesome. And yes, Bob, I'm sorry. I have to threaten you now. I'm going to take your invite May of next year. So Bob's like, oh, I got to go to London for the month of May.
I just got back from London a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah. And that was also a little bit of business as well, right?
It was more pleasure. I had some friends when I did PR. Oh God, 100 years ago for Best Western Hotels, and I was taking a group of British travel writers around, California, Arizona, what have you. I became very close friends with the TWA rep, and from that point on, our families have gone back and forth between England and the States, and they're like family. His three boys virtually grew up with my three daughters. Unfortunately,
Brady Bunch.
one of his twins passed away earlier this
Oh,
year,
I'm sorry.
and he passed away 8 months later. So I felt I had to go over. I wanted to see his wife and his other two sons and their families. So it was a trip that was, kind of melancholy, but yet fun because I was with people I love.
Yes.
I'll tell you a
Yeah.
funny one. With Ronnie Bloomberg. As you know, he was the first designated hitter in the history of baseball.
1973.
Yep. Beginning of the season, the Yankees invited him to throw out the first pitch, commemorating 50th anniversary of designated hitter. And I'm on the field. I'm talking to him, and he says to me, I'm afraid I'm going to make a fool of myself. I said, what's the matter? He said, I haven't thrown a ball like that in years. I said, Ronnie, all you got to do is lob it to the catcher. He said, yeah, he has a bad arm, which I found out later. He
Yeah.
says, yeah, I guess you're right. I turn around to talk to somebody. It's all over. He didn't throw the ball. He rolled it to the catcher.
That's funny.
Stadium went nuts. And I almost killed him because I lost a good picture.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Hey, Bob, we should consider doing a Yankee talk once a week next year.
I would seriously consider it. Absolutely.
I think we could do it. You East Coast, New Jersey, me West Coast out in California. That would be interesting. We could just do a week, a weekly program, maybe 30 minutes an hour, who knows, and talk about the Yankees and our love and have everyone hate us even more, Bob.
That's right. I've got a couple of contacts with the Yankees, so maybe we can even get a couple of the players, the former players, on. I'm
Wow.
talking to Mike Torres, and you know who Mike was. He
Yes,
pitched
he pitched for
he
the
pitched for
Yankees.
the Red Sox. He was the
Oh,
one who
great
threw
guy.
the ball to Bucky Dent, who homered and knocked the Red Sox out. From that day on to this day, Bucky Dent is known as Bucky Blankety Blank Dent.
Yes, you're right.
Ironic, ironic. Torres gets traded to the Yankees,
Yes.
and he and Dent become very close friends.
Oh, I can genuinely see that because
Yeah.
Bucky Dent really wasn't a punk in his day. He wasn't. He was all right. I understand.
Well, look, it's funny how sometimes the mediocre players come through in a tight game. Look at Aaron Boone. He blasted a home run too, like that, and he was never in great shakes as a ball player.
Bob, you and I should do some reviews on games because I remember watching that game. That was game 7, championship series. Pedro Martinez was pitching that game, and I remember the Yankees were trailing. It was Pedro Martinez all day. And in the 7th inning, the Yankees had a bit of a comeback and he shut them down. And I told Maggie, 7 innings and he's put them down. That was the year that the Boston bullpen was lights out. They were just out. I said, babe, in the 8th inning, I hate doing this, but in the 8th inning, I'd go to Martinez, get one out, get the out, and then pull him and say, okay, you've given us 7 in the 3rd. Let's finish this bad boy for you. And it happened, Bob. He got the first out. I told her I'd pull him, and they didn't. And you know what happened? They tied the game. And then in the 10th inning, oh my God, Aaron Boone blasts it to left field.
I remember that. I remember that home run. I went berserk.
Yeah, I went berserk. Bob, what about 2001? I was watching that one, game 4, Tino Martinez, uh, bottom of the 9th, trailing 3-1. and he hits the blast against Byung Yoon Kim. What an incredible blast to tie the series two to
And a
two.
nice guy. My
Yes.
my my daughter and her, you excuse the expression, ex-husband had seats by the Yankee dugout front row. She was berserko over Tino, good-looking guy, what have you. She made a sign up with his name and his number on it. She used to sit there screaming and carrying on at every game.
Wow.
She and her husband are out for dinner one night, and Martinez was there. He walks over to her and he said, "You're the one." He recognized her big mouth.
That is so cool. That is neat. Uh, Tino Martinez was a great part of that whole diet. No, it was a dynasty for a while. But you remember what happened in game 5? Down 2-0. Scott Brocious does the exact same thing. And the Yankees lead 3-2. Unbelievable. I witnessed the Tino Martinez blast. I was like, awesome. And then when Brocious hit it, I couldn't breathe, Bob. I could not breathe. The
And
very next game, bottom of the ninth, down 2-0, and Brocious belts it. Oh my God. Oh, that was unreal, Bob.
that's, we're talking history. I want to see history repeat itself. Look, they got rid of Soto now. And I think part of the reason they got rid of him, the bidding was going up and up and up. And he was at what, 760 million. It's an absurd number. I think the Yankees figured that Cohen, no matter what the Yankees bid for Soto, Cohen would overbid them. He
Yeah.
had the money to do it. So they finally said, the heck with it. And that's it. But remember back when Judge was negotiating his contract, he took less money from another team because he felt he wanted to stay with the Yankees.
Yes.
And Soto is not the player that Judge is.
No, no. Look, Soto's a phenomenal player. There's no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
But, oh, yeah, let's be real. But, oh, and another thing, when I was doing the comparison between Otani and the MVP of the National League and a judge of the American League, Bob, the numbers are not even close.
Uh,
They're not. Otani, a fine player, had a wonderful year, did what no one else has done in baseball 50-50. Yes. But when you look at his numbers straight up, I'll take Judges every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Oh, and by the way, Judge also plays the outfield.
yeah. And Soto is not a great fielder.
No, he's not.
I'm going
We
to make a
saw that.
prediction. I'm going to make a prediction. He's got a 15-year contract, I believe. I would say 3 to 4 years, he's going to taper off, and they're going to be stuck with him and that $760 million contract. 3 to 4 years.
Yes. And then he might end up being a Yankee. And the Mets are going to have to eat up a lot of that money for him to come to New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the reality is, he is a fine player. I'd rather have him on the team. But $765 million, Bob. That's
Hey,
ridiculous.
Roger, that's more than you and I pay in taxes.
Yeah, this year. That is correct. This year. That is really cool. But Bob, I thought of doing something like that specifically for the Yankees, but I just never had the time. But
All
now
right.
knowing that I may have a little bit more time, that would be fun to be able to talk baseball
Well,
with you on a weekly basis.
fortunately, right now, I canned one of the books I was working on, that true crime book.
Oh,
Uh,
it's done. It's done.
oh, it is gone. My editor said to me, he was laughing. I said, "What's so funny?" He said, "I should have told you to do that a long time ago." I won't mention names, but
Right.
the guy who was working on it is a retired doctor. He was the great nephew of the federal agent who brought Capone down. Uh, Worked on the Lindbergh case, Dutch Schultz, and all that. But he kept rewriting the manuscript and putting stuff in at the beginning of it that would put people to sleep. Every time I changed it and sent it back to him, he would send it back to me in the same condition. I finally said to him, "Hey, I don't think you want to go continue on with this." And he agreed. We said, "That's it. Goodbye." So now I'm working on that book and the sequel to my novel, The Spider Hole. I did send you a copy of that, I think, didn't I?
I have two of your books right now, and I flinched because I was going to reach for my copy of Spider Hole right now. So, Bob, you're going to continue the program. I need about 15 seconds to get the book. I'll be right back.
Uh, I won't ask where you're going. The cruise I was on was called Legends of Baseball, and it was run by a fellow named Rob Steinfeld. You can look him up. He's got another cruise coming up. Oh, there's my book. There it is. Hey, that's the first edition. I got the
Yes.
second edition. It's got a much better cover, and it's a little bit tighter.
This is
The,
a priceless book for me.
the sequel, I'm working on the sequel to that now. That'll be done in about 4 or 5 months.
Oh, excellent. So, folks, I'm going to show you the Amazon page on this, but here it is. Former U.S. Army Green Beret Dan Halevi, now an Israeli Mossad officer, could have stopped the attack on 9/11, but the information never clicked in his mind. Now he has a chance to redeem himself. Intelligence reports indicate that terrorists are ready to set off nuclear devices in New York and London. This time, he won't let it happen. Spider Ho, Bob Nessoff.
Check
There it is.
check the comments from General Needham on the back, I believe.
Bob Nessoff is a gifted and experienced writer who knows his subject. His knowledge of tactics and techniques is phenomenal. The story held my attention and had me waiting for the next chapter to learn what the Mossad, CIA, and MI6 operatives were up to in their quest to block an international terror plot. It was reminiscent of actual incidents hidden under a cloak of eyes only material. Bob Nessoff knows his subject and keeps the pace moving like an Indiana Jones movie. In fact, if Hollywood is smart, this will be made into a movie. Thomas H. Needham, Major General retired, U.S. Army, baby.
Well, I'll tell you something about Tom Needham. Tom enlisted in the Army as a buck private, retired as a two-star general. That's phenomenal. He's a Vietnam vet. He was the officer, a colonel, Bert Colonel, who planned the invasion of Panama when they captured Noriega. He got a star for that. Sometime later, the president appointed him chairman of the Joint Task Force looking for MIAs in Vietnam. The Vietnamese would not deal with him because he only had one star. They bucked him over 32 other generals to make him a major general. Gave him a second star. While he was there, he was okay after combat in Vietnam. He goes back on the MIA search, comes back with a dose of Agent Orange. But look, I get a kick out of it. I was a staff sergeant, and he was a two-star general. I'll get a call from him, and it's, "Hey Bob, it's Tom." You know,
Wow.
and I have never spoken to a general like that in my life, except for Tom.
Wow. Yes. Now, I appreciate the historical significance of the events that take place here, but you had three quotes when you begin the book after the author's notes, and I was familiar with the first one, but the second one is the one that I knew very well, and I think had the most telling effect, or the one most related to this. And it is, quote, and I throw this to the audience: I fear we have woken a sleeping tiger. And it was on that day in his diary on December 7th, 1941, that he wrote that note. And for those of you that know and don't know, Isoroku Yamamoto, Japanese admiral, the admiral of the fleet. He was the fleet admiral, right? Well, no, fleet admiral is an insult to him. He was in charge of the entire navy, right?
Yep, he
Yamamoto.
was at top admiral. Do you
Yeah.
know that he had orders to continue on and attack California? He felt that it was too risky to do it, And I'm not quite sure if he's the one who made the comment or not, but he said, one of them said, if we attack the United States, there's a gun behind every door in every household in the country. And they knew that there would be a guerrilla force in this country that would have devastated them. Can I put a plug in for the book on it, Roger?
Yes, of course.
Good. Anybody, it's going into Barnes and Noble. I'll be doing a signing there next month. But the thing is, anybody who would like a copy of the book, $20 plus $4 postage and handling, sent to my address, Bob Nessoff, Nesoff, 626 McCarthy Drive, New Milford, Milford, New Jersey, 07646. And if you put a note in there, I'll autograph the book to you and mail it back to you.
Wow. Folks, there it is right there, Amazon.com. But you can also, as Bob just mentioned, you can get it. Right now, it is, if you get the Kindle version, it's 50% off. Obviously, it's a digital. But the paperback version is right now $19.95 readily available. And it's right
I
there.
would just as soon not deal with Amazon. They are a pain in the you know what to deal with.
Okay.
That's
All
why
right.
if people send it to me directly, same price, same everything, except for the Kindle version. And this way I can autograph the book and send it back to them.
Now, this book, I also have a history lover's guide to Bergen County. So that book is also available, folks. You can check it out. And I think we can talk to Bob about it specifically.
That one is selling beautifully. I did a signing, I think it was 3 weeks ago at Barnes and Noble for that book. We
Yeah.
sold over 30 copies of the book.
Oh, at the signing.
Yep.
That's good.
And Barnes and Noble said they wanted us to sign all the books that we brought because they're selling over there.
Wow. That's excellent. And this
Yeah,
was written by Bob Nessoff and Howard Joseph. Is that, it's not Cohen, correct? Is it Cone?
cone
Cone.
like an ice cream cone.
Yeah, Cone. Okay. Wow, folks. Well,
Yeah,
there it is. But you
that,
heard Bob. You can
yeah,
contact him direct.
that's gotten pretty good reception with book signings.
That's good. That is absolutely awesome. And you have one due out in about 5 months, which is, I believe you said, the heir to this one.
That'll be the sequel to it, and the baseball book. I'm not sure when it'll go. I'm shooting. Possibly, I don't know if I can get it done in time for this coming season, but it'll definitely be out for the next season because there's Rob Steinfeld that I mentioned a couple of minutes ago has another baseball cruise coming up, and it may be between either the Mets and the Yankees or the Red Sox and the Yankees.
Oh, wow.
So that would give me tremendous. I'll have the book done by then. I'll be selling them on the cruise.
Yeah. No kidding. Heck yeah. Look him up, folks. That's him right there, Bob Nessoff. And you can
A funny looking guy with the white hair.
ha ha ha. So now on the back of the book, it talks about the author. Bob is a former Army Green Beret sergeant and also an award-winning journalist. Bob, you have been around the world as a journalist. I have to ask you. I have to ask you. Are there any places that you went and you had any maybe paranormal activity or something that even you're like, yeah, I don't want to go back? Did you have something at a base, a facility, or do you have anything like that?
I am in St. Croix and possibly in Croatia.
Ooh,
In St. Croix, I'm sorry, and in Haiti as well. I was invited to a voodoo, uh, what do you call it, actual voodoo night. But unfortunately, my plane was leaving before that. I couldn't change the departure. Croatia, it's a wonderful. Dubrovnik in Croatia is a wonderful, 1,000-year-old city, and you can sit there and you can literally feel the spooks around you. But I think the one thing that got to me the most was crossing the English Channel, doing a Normandy invasion route tour. I'm standing on the deck of the boat, the ferry going across. A very misty day. I'm the only one on the deck. And if I tell you I had goosebumps and I could see the ships, the warships moving towards the French coast, I am not kidding you. I obviously they weren't there, but I'm looking out and I could see the shapes in the mist of the ships crossing the channel.
Wow, Bob. Wow. That's I had not heard of anyone ever mention anything like that. And I could see that, Bob. And that is unreal. I could imagine for all the souls that were lost that day, I
Yeah.
imagine they are still storming those beaches and
I,
still winning the day for all of us.
we met somebody there. I think it was in something Mary Glace. He came in a day or two after the initial assault, and he was stationed there. That's where I forgot the paratrooper's name, but he got hung up on the church steeple.
Oh, yes. You told me that story. Yes, go ahead. Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
Bob.
And anyhow, we're standing in the cemetery, and I'm sorry. Let me back up. In the movie Finding Private Ryan,
Yes.
in the opening scene in the cemetery with Ryan's family there, in the background is an old man wearing an American Legion cap and putting flowers and flags down. We met the man. He had come over, I think the second, third day of the invasion, and met a French woman. The two of them fell in love. They moved him out. I forgot where they transferred him to, but he ended up getting pulled back to the States. He got married. His wife died some years later. He went back to France, sent Mary Glace, found the girl. She had been married. Her husband passed away,
Yes.
and they got married.
Wow.
I mean,
That
that's an amazing love story.
it is indeed.
I see the
And
beach. I see the beach over there, man.
yes,
You stand there. You can feel the rumble of the landing, the LSTs coming in, of the shells going off, of the strafing. I mean, it's absolutely uh, just an unbelievably emotional experience.
it is amazing that the many of the artificial harbors, the mulberries that they created for the landing are still there. It is amazing that they're on the beach and you can see them. Actually, this is on the Google Maps. You can still see the ships that were well, the landing barges, if you will. They're still there, man. It's amazing
Yeah.
that they're still out there.
Not only that, but some of the gun emplacements and the bunkers are still there. You can
Yes,
go in. You can go into the bunkers, look out, and see what the Germans saw coming at them.
yes. You know, Bob, on a personal note, I always wondered what that would be. I'm a frustrated author, Bob. I watch a lot of movies, television, and I read books, and I'm into the imagery. And the imagery is a big part of my experience of a movie. For example, do you remember the movie Blue Thunder, the helicopter?
Yeah,
Okay, remember how the young lady's got the tape and LAPD is trying to arrest her on the bridge? And then the camera switches behind, and here comes Blue Thunder out of the sun. You know, it was the imagery. It was just so well done. The Wrath of Khan. Remember when the Enterprise comes up from behind the Reliant? And even in the Mutara Nebula, you see the bright lights, meaning a new day, new hope. Imagery like that, Bob, is what affects me. And I always thought, what would it have been to have been there at D Day to see finally the invasion or the freedom of Europe taking place? I was at Oceanside, Bob, at a rest area along the 5 freeway, and the Marines were playing in the mud, and they were invading. And Bob, I was there with my father, and I said, "Oh my God, this is what a tiny taste of what D-Day might have been like.
And that
It
might
was
have been the
incredible.
SEALs. That might have been the SEALs. Tom Needham had a great comment. I won't knock the SEALs. They're a great unit. But
Yes.
Tom's comment was the major difference between the Green Berets and the Navy SEALs is we didn't have a PR department.
That is great. Uh,
You ask people today, many of them have not heard of the Green Berets. But the fact of the matter is, the truth is, we were there the first. The others came along after the Green Berets.
yes.
When the generals, the straight leg generals, did not want special forces to wear a beret, they said they don't want to create an elite unit. John F. Kennedy, by presidential order, gave us the right to wear the berets. He said they are an elite unit. And because
Yes.
of that, we have the Green Beret.
Yeah. When did they were in World War II, right? The Green Berets?
No, it was after.
It
It's
was
an outgrowth of several Raiders, partially OSS and what have you. A lot of Green Berets worked with what is commonly called the company. You know what the company is?
yes. Yeah, that's down in
The
Fo-
CIA.
yeah. Oh my God. I was confused. I was gonna say Foggy Bottom, but no, that's the State Department.
Right.
Quantico is the Marines. Oh, wait a
Well,
minute.
no.
Oh my
Well,
God, what's the
Quantico is the Navy, but they kind of tolerate the Marines. The Marines have got a fantastic uh, a museum in Quantico. You
what
know,
do they call CIA headquarters? Is it the campus?
the CIA, the
Yeah.
farm.
Oh, the farm. That's right. Yes. Yes, the farm. And I should remember that. I'm a Tom Clancy fan. I should have known that one. That was absolutely phenomenal. I was so sad and
Yeah.
when Tom Clancy passed away.
Somebody compared one of the reviewers compared Spiderhole to Clancy.
Yes, I would agree with them.
Another
I
one,
would.
one of my favorite authors was Frederick Forsyth. The book was also compared to his writing. He was Day of the Jackal.
Yes, I am familiar with that. Yep. Bob, as you mentioned, I found some of the emplacements on the beach, as you mentioned. I believe this is what's left of the mulberry, is that artificial port that they created. The genius to create that port so that they could get stuff across. It's just the D-Day
Hey,
invasion
look,
was amazing.
before I went special forces, I was in combat engineers.
Really?
And yeah, I mean, we weren't in combat, but that's what we were trained for. We would
Right.
build bridges across a ravine in the morning and take it down in the afternoon. But the greatest thing we did was blowing things up. They would give us half-pound blocks of TNT. Anything that didn't move got blown up.
Well, you couldn't give dynamite to a grunt or or an army guy, right? You had to give someone that was trained to do that. So
Well, I mean, they
that's
did
you
show
guys.
us what to. We didn't lose anybody, fortunately. But we were trained as to how, if we had to knock out an emplacement to build something, how to place the TNT and how to set the charge off.
I was so surprised because I've read a great deal, Bob. That's why you and I could just go on forever. And one of the inventions that was at D Day, I had no idea, but each unit had foldable styrofoam maps that they would go into these like cups to hold them. They were waterproof and they had them, and it was incredible. It was state of the art at the time. But the weapon that amazed me the most was the Bangalore.
Oh, the Bangalore torpedo, yeah.
Yeah. They, you know, how they would push it through and then they would light it and that would open up the barbed wire, right?
And light it and run like hell.
Yeah. That
But,
was
but the
amazing.
thing with that too is they couldn't just walk in and set that. They
Oh,
had to
right.
they had to drag the Bangalore while they were on their bellies,
Yeah.
push it through the barbed wire, pull the fuse on it, and then get the hell out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. As a matter of fact, in Saving Private Ryan, they show the Bangalore, I think once or twice in there as well, which was for me, I was like, oh, I know what that is. And it was It was, and I don't mean to be insulting in a way, but it was amazing as to how well it was done.
Yeah,
I've been
well,
told by people who are in the service that that movie, next to Black Hawk Down, is as close as you're going to get to the real sensation. Is that true, Bob?
pretty much. If you mention the word Bangalore today, most people are going to think it's a spicy Indian dish.
Yeah, very good, Bob. Yes. Yeah. I've studied my entire life, Bob. I've dedicated my life to learning and reading of that which came before me because it's being lost, Bob. I it's funny when my father told me when I was in my teens, I have forgotten more than you'll ever know. And I didn't understand what he meant until now I'm in the same spot. I have
Well,
forgotten now so much that it's just absolutely crazy. One of my heroes, Bob, is in the Guadalcanal operation when Rear Admiral Daniel Callahan was given the orders with his heavy cruisers to take on the Tokyo Express.
uh-huh.
They were going to be up against two battleships, if not more. And the orders for them that night was Henderson Field has not slept for 3 weeks. They need a night to rest. That was their orders, Bob. And the Navy succeeded that night. But one of the opening salvos took out the bridge of the USS San Francisco and took out Daniel O'Callaghan. But the entire operation continued. And that is a name that has stuck with me forever, Bob. That his orders that night, and he readily said, "We're going to do it. Those boys need to sleep." That was it, Bob. They needed a day to rest. And
And
they
they
did.
rarely ever got look at what the troops went through at the Battle of the Bulge. I mean, they were on duty 27 4,
Oh my God, Bob, let's talk about the Battle of the Bulge real quick. And folks, for those that know, obviously it's Bastogne, depends on how you pronounce it, but it's roughly, let's see, where is it? I'll find it. But the whole thing of Bastogne was the Germans were on their way to Antwerp. They wanted to destroy the port there. If they would have set the Allied effort back significantly.
Oh,
It,
absolutely.
it would have prolonged the war, but Bastogne was a major transportation hub. And the 101st, right, Bob? They
Yeah.
knew what they had. And I have read several accounts. Please correct me if I'm wrong. It is also shown in the movie Patton, but history has it that the Germans went up to McAuliffe and they said, "Look, we need you to surrender. We have hot food, we have whatever. You need to surrender." Ernie
Oh,
Pyle wrote that he said nuts.
nuts.
Okay. But Ernie Pyle would never have written anything that was, you know, a, like foul. I've been told, and I've read in several places, that McAuliffe did not say nuts. That's what Ernie Pyle, the war correspondent, wrote.
I would believe Ernie Pyle. There are more naysayers for anything like that. A coincidence. I never met him. I think he's buried near Diamond Head in Hawaii.
Really?
But he and I wrote for the same newspaper syndicate. My column was at that time was in 90 some odd newspapers around the country. But Pyle was a big name who had worked for them during the war.
Wow, Bob. I had no idea about that. Well, I understand because it they said surrender. You'll be treated well. And Ernie Pyle wrote that he said nuts. Well, Patton heard what he said, and in the movie, he says nuts. And of course, Patton answers, and he said, "A man that eloquent has to be saved." But what got Patton going was that McAuliffe actually said "F you." I've read,
Okay, you're back. I got your back.
yeah. Did that happen, Bob? Did he really say "F you"?
I don't know. You know, Pyle could possibly have cleaned it up, but somehow or other, nuts would make it in all the history books rather than FU.
And guess what? It did. Because the Germans were mystified. They didn't know what he meant by nuts.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't have known what he meant by the other thing either.
I mean, it was unreal. McAuliffe and the 101st, they held out. I guess they figured their help was closer. But
Yeah,
they understood that they was still weeks away. But the 101st did not surrender. And in one of the greatest feats of military history, Third Army still continued forward, but elements pulled off, marched 100 miles north in 72 hours, and engaged the enemy and relieved
yeah,
Bastogne the day after Christmas.
yeah. My late
Unbelievable.
wife's uncle was in that battle.
Really? Wow. I know Bastogne is here in Belgium, and right now that I'm looking for it, I just can't find it. I'm frustrated. Here's Frankfurt, so Bastone's got to be around here
Well,
somewhere.
Frankfurt is Germany.
Right. And it's a small town. That's the thing. And folks, the reason why it was called the Battle of the Bulge is because the advance by the Germans across the lines, it
Yeah,
was a bulge, except for Bastogne, the
yeah.
101st.
It was a cold, miserable winter.
Yeah. Now, I also understand that the movie got it wrong. That the weather
Surprised? Why are you
prayer,
surprised?
yeah, I know, huh, Bob? The weather prayer that Patton asked for was actually 6 weeks before. Because supposedly in the movie, as you know, Patton asked the priest to write the weather prayer for relieving the troops at Bastogne. But it, in fact, happened 6 weeks before. The movie got that wrong. I guess it was a bit more dramatic that he would request the prayer to relieve the 101st.
Like a friend of mine wrote a book called Hitler's Daughter. The book was not really a great book, but somehow we sold the movie rights to it. It was on TV. He calls me up. He says, I'm going to send out a press release telling people not to watch the movie." I said, "What are you crazy?" I said, "Let me ask, why are you doing that?" He says, "Well, they took out characters that were in the book. They put in characters that weren't in the book." I said, "Timmy, let me ask you a question. Did they pay you?" "Well, yeah." I said, "Did you cash a check?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Then shut the hell up. When they're buying the book for a movie because it's written by you and not just for the name of the theme, then you tell them what to do." So he was so adamant about them putting people in who weren't in the book. I'm watching the movie. There he is in a cat in a Max the Painter who had nothing at all to do with the book.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, and by the way, Bob, it was on the map. I have it on the map marked as one of the places that I want to go to. So that's why I couldn't find it. But there it is. And it's a very tiny city. It's amazing.
Yep.
And I
Some of the
that
biggest battles were in very insignificant places.
Midway. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Uh Tarawa. Uh
Guadalcanal, what have you. Go to
Peleliu.
Korea. Whoever heard of Korea until the war?
Yeah. Incheon. Talk about another. It's a beach, right? Incheon.
Yep. Yep. The landing.
Yeah. Rourke's Drift. 1879, right? Down there in Islawana in South Africa. Rourke's Drift, the company of Royal Marines that held out against 3,000 Zulu warriors. It was actually 150 that held out against 3,000. Unbelievable, Bob.
But when people are defending their homes, they fight harder. It was the same thing in Croatia. The Serbs went. They stationed a battleship off the coast of Dubrovnik and just kept firing shells into the town.
Yeah.
I was up in a clock tower, or bell tower rather, looking out, and you could see the brownish tile roofs that were the old original roofs, as opposed to the brand new red ones. There was a castle on top of a mountain outside of the the town, and some of the Croatian patriots were manning that castle as a defensive position. The Serbs tried blowing it up, and they finally gave up and left.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
It's
had
hard.
we had a very interesting experience. We're on a hill overlooking the city of Dubrovnik. There are two Croatian soldiers in a field with a jeep parked on the side, poking the ground with long poles. What the hell are they doing? I take a look at the jeep. There's a sign on it, MINEN. They were looking for mines.
Oh,
I
wow.
said to my wife, get the hell behind the vehicle. She gets behind the vehicle and I hear her yelling, "What are you doing?" I'm standing there. I'm the journalist. I'm standing there with the camera waiting for one of these idiots to get blown up so I could take a picture of going up in the air.
Wow.
I mean, the idiocy of looking for mines by poking a stick into the ground.
That's unreal. Unreal. Yeah, and I understand that the village near Sarajevo, the Olympic Village, it's a no-go zone because of what happened when Yugoslavia fell apart, and it's littered with mines.
Yeah, it's a beautiful city.
Yeah, Sarajevo, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Bob, you've I've had the privilege of listening to you tell me on some stories, but I've never asked you this question. And yes, folks, this is an impromptu interview for Bob.
Uh oh. Uh
um,
oh.
well, I mean, it's been going on for a little while
I
now.
don't. I don't. I told you I don't feel. I'm going to bed, Roger.
You're a good man, Bob. Bob, in your experiences, and this is not questioning your manhood or in any way, young man, but are there some places today that you will not go back to for whatever reason?
I'll tell you. I've been to China. I've been to Africa. What have you? I can't really think of any place that I would not want to go back to. Um, there are some cities I might not want to go to, such as uh, in Jamaica, the main city over there, Newark. I worked at the Newark News for 5 years. It was not a good city. I haven't been back to Newark except to go to a show. I don't even bother going to a show there. There are some places that you just have to use some common sense.
Yeah.
I
Were
mean,
you a? Would you consider yourself, or could you be? Not that I'm classifying you, but you were a war correspondent, were you not?
I was, yeah, an interesting story with that. I had applied for war correspondent credentials to go to Vietnam. Well, actually, when I was in special forces, they came to my unit looking for volunteers to go to Vietnam. I considered it, but I was engaged at the time. We were getting married, and my late wife, my wife said to me at that point, "Do you want to go to Vietnam or do you want to get married?" Well, we got married.
Yeah.
I applied when I was a reporter for the Newark News, which at that point was the biggest, most prestigious paper in the state. I applied for war correspondent credentials, and they never came through. My editor approved the story to go over and come back. There were men from New Jersey and the Air National Guard, the Air Reserves, flying over, bringing supplies in and bringing people back. That was the story I wanted to do. I would have been in Vietnam for a brief period of time.
Yeah.
We couldn't understand why uh, my credentials never came through. I can't remember the names, but we had a military editor, Warren Kennett. I had spoken to him. He said it can't be done. Well, I turned around and I did it and embarrassed him. The undersecretary of the army was a friend of his who used to work for my newspaper. Warren, I found out later, called him up and put the kibosh on it. How we found out was after the secretary stepped down, my editor got a call from the secretary's former secretary and said, "Gee, we were just going through the secretary's desk and we found Mr. Nessov's approved war correspondent credentials here. What do you want us to do with them?" By that time, the story had been done by somebody else. Then
Right.
it got one of the photographers to activate himself for 2 weeks to go over. And that was just, it was spite work. That was the closest I came to getting to Vietnam.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Okay, that's cool, Bob. That's good to know. I wow. Hey, so on a real off-topic question, what is your feeling of people that, stolen valor when you see someone dressed up? And Bob, I'm not an expert, but I can smell the fake because of all that I've just read and studied. Embarrassingly, I had a Navy ring on, and it's US Navy, and people would come up, shake my hand. Bob, they used to buy me cups of coffee because they would see the ring. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 I'm not in the service. This is, it was one of those keepsakes, Bob, because I had friends and family in the Navy. So it was one of those rings, but it did say US Navy, but I never pretended. And I remember a buddy and I were in Starbucks. We went out as couples, George and I, and at the time, my wife and his. And I was telling him, dude, I'm embarrassed. People come up to me and they'll like thank me, shake my hand. They'll shake my hand before I even have a chance to respond. And Bob, 5 minutes later, an older lady comes up with 2 cups of coffee and she says, thank you for your service. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, Bob, it was just on my hand. That was it. I didn't show it off. I didn't have it, but it was a memory that I had friends and family in the Navy. I don't wear it anymore
No,
because
I wear a silver ring with the Special Forces crest on it.
yeah,
The
but
la-
that's a difference,
Yeah,
Bob.
the
You
lady I'm
actually were
the
special
lady I'm seeing
forces.
now in Florida has I gave her a mini crest that she wears around her neck. Um,
Okay.
I when somebody was I forgot where it was. We were doing a book signing, and somebody sent out a press release referring to me as a Green Beret combat veteran. I called her up immediately
Yeah.
and said, "Please change that. I am not a combat veteran." Um, what's his name? The senator from Connecticut. I can't think of his name offhand. The guy was full of baloney. He was talking
Oh
about
yeah,
his
yeah,
combat experience. He
yeah.
never served in combat, and he's still a U.S. senator from the state of Connecticut. Um, it's easy to trip up these people who play stolen valor. They'll put on a uniform, they'll put on medals that they purchased at the Army and Navy store. But if you talk to them for 15 seconds
Yeah.
and you stump them. So you've got to have something wrong with you to go out and pretend to be a war hero when you've never even served.
There are videos on YouTube. There's a Navy SEAL that does it, and I forget his name, but he goes after, and he's always looking for the ones that say that they're Navy SEALs. And he said what you said. 15 seconds in, even from a distance, he says, oh, that's stolen valor right there. And they go out of their way to question them and say, hey, man, you're not a vet. You were never even in service. Take that uniform off.
Yep. Well, first off, it's illegal to wear medals or wear a uniform and pretend to have been in the military.
Yeah.
You can be prosecuted for that, but it doesn't happen because it's considered a minor offense.
Yeah. Dressing up as a soldier for Halloween, I've always known was illegal.
Uh, Look, I'm sure you've seen it on Facebook. Today is my birthday. I haven't been home. I've been in combat. You just wish me a birthday. If you look closely, you'll see that on their shoulder, and they try to hide it, is the Russian flag. Most of these clowns are Russians. They had one, this guy who's the last
Really?
remaining member of his unit from World War II. He's hunched over, he's got a chest full of medals hanging down, and I'll be damned if he wasn't a Russian.
Yeah.
But people, oh, God bless you, thank you for your service. What they're doing is they're opening themselves up for hackers to get into their accounts.
Yeah.
And people just they don't think. They don't think. I've tried putting it in there. This is all BS. And I've used the word, not just BS. You know,
Yeah.
this guy is not an American. He's a Russian. They're not our friends. Stop wishing all these clowns a happy birthday.
Yeah. That's that's uh, one of the more annoying things, and quite frankly insulting. And it's just a shame that people here in Southern California, people that have been elected to office, say school boards and just city jobs, like the city mayors or whatever, it happens often, Bob, that they have
Oh
it
yeah.
on their resumes and they put it
Yep.
on political material. Man, it is, it's disgusting.
Well, when I ran for office in town here, local council, one of my opponents said Nessop couldn't possibly have been a Green Beret. He had a detective, a PI from Texas, call me up. Mr. Nessop, I understand you're in Special Forces. We're starting a Special Forces organization. Uh, and he starts questioning me.
Yeah.
I say, wait a minute. This guy is not forming anything. I said, I don't commit to anything over the phone. Send it to me if I'm interested. I'll make my decision. It turned out I realized who it was. He was a PI working for one of my opponents.
Yeah.
I called up one of the detectives and I said, "Do me a favor, call this guy up and put the fear of God in him."
Yes.
He calls him up. He said, "Did you call Councilman Nessoff and start questioning him?" Guy hung the phone up.
Oh, wow. Hey, I hear
But
you.
again, as I say, well, the first thing I'll tell people is I am not a combat veteran.
Yeah.
You know, I have friends of mine who phenomenal combat veterans. Tom Needham, General Needham, a guy I went to high school with. He
Yeah.
served in 5 different Green Beret units, retired as a bird colonel, was a military advisor to Lyndon Johnson. I don't stand. I'm on my knees next to these guys.
Yeah. No, yeah, I hear you, Bob. It's something that it just, like I said, it annoys me. It's insulting. I have read my entire life history, specifically from about 1931 through 1946. I'm not going to say it's my specialty because I have no such thing, but that is my life. And I do believe those events need to be remembered. I mean, Bob, forgive me for saying, and I know again, this is probably insulting, but my wet dream is seeing the Battle of Leyte Gulf on film, on the big screen. I know it would be almost impossible because it is the largest naval battle in the history of mankind, but it is incredible. I mean, Horn Fisher's book, The Last Stand of the Tin Can Sailors, when they were guarding the door to Leyte Gulf of Samar. I mean, what a stand. Destroyers and destroyer escorts charging battleships and cruisers, Bob. It is incredible. It is a story that needs to be told and needs to be on the big screen.
Roger, what people from Europe and Asia and wherever else do not understand is that as much as Americans fight amongst themselves, when push comes to shove, we're together. It's like a family feud and what have you. The only thing that worries me right now is I won't, it doesn't matter what party I'm part of, but the so called progressives who are against everything. I
Yeah.
don't understand what they're progressive. I would call them regressives. Yeah, but
Yeah.
the Republicans and the Democrats, as much as they're fighting, God forbid there's another war, they will get together.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's sad that it will have to come to that for that to happen.
Yep, very sad.
Yes. I wrote a review for this book and I wonder if I can find it. And your comment right now, Bob. Let me see. Hold on. Roger D. Noriega under reviews. Oh my God, there it is. I wrote this on January 17, 2007. And Bob, this is here it is. Herman Woke wrote in Worn Remembrance the vision of Sprague's three destroyers, the Johnston, the Howell, and the Herman, charging out of the smoke and the rain straight toward the main batteries of Kurita's battleships and cruisers, can endure as a picture of the way Americans fight when they don't have superiority. Our school children should remember it, and our enemies should ponder it. That's not my line. That's Herman Woke.
Yeah,
And I quoted that line.
he was a hell of a writer.
Yeah. Yeah.
One
It
of
was
my
easy. Go ahead.
uh, one of my favorites, who really knew what he was writing about, was Robin Moore, the French Connection, the Green Berets, and what have you. I met Robin, quite a guy. I've got a couple of autographed books from him. But this was a guy who went out with the units he was writing about. One of my big disappointments after I left the newspaper, I got a call from a headhunter. He was offering me a job as executive editor of Soldier of Fortune magazine, and I had to turn him down.
Wow. Huh. Wow. That's crazy. So did you say you met Herman Woke?
No, not Herman Woke, Robin
Okay.
Moore.
Yeah, yeah, you did mention Robin Moore. Wow, I was surprised I found my review that quickly. And it was
Yeah,
Horton Fisher
I would
that
have thought
wrote
you
that.
wrote I would have thought you had written a review of my book by now.
I sadly, Bob, I will. I promise you I will. Knowing that I've been talking about it, it's because I hadn't done reviews in a long time. If you look up my reviews, oh my God, there's my profile and all the reviews I've written. I don't know how many. Let's see. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But they were all done in the early 2000s. Yeah.
We were kids then.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. Yeah, I did a few Star Trek books, and I did a a Without Remorse Tom Clancy review, and of course the one I just mentioned, Horn Fisher's Last Stand. I remember that one.
Yeah, Clancy is a good writer, but I don't know. I think he goes into way too much detail. You read
Who?
Red, you read Red October, you could be certified to be a submarine commander.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's the one allegedly that well, not allegedly, but he was given the title as the inventor of the techno thriller. Remember that?
Yeah, and that's it.
Because of his detail.
That's it.
Yeah, yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I am Bob. I'm telling you, you and I, the minute we speak, an hour goes by like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we should do this more often, Bob. But I have to let you speak. I need to shut up, man. People want to hear what you have to say.
No, you're doing all right.
Thank you. Hey,
Good
so
repartee. Good repartee.
what's the weather like where you're at right now? Because I'm
Well, I
only
just
at
got
55
I
degrees.
I just flew in from Florida. As I said, not feeling well after coming over. Normally, I fly on United, which is a direct flight, a nonstop. I wanted to use up my American airline miles, so I had to change planes in Charlotte. The weather down there was pretty good this morning. It was probably in the mid 70s. I got off the plane here. I was very happy. My youngest daughter, picked me up. It was 47 degrees. It was not as cold as I expected. I came
Yeah.
home, turned the heat up. I put on a fire, which died because while we were talking, I didn't put any wood on it. And it's comfortable here. My main problem right now is, the head cold. I don't know
Yeah.
how I was able to keep up the conversation with you all this time. because they difficult breathing or what have you. But hey, when you, as you said, when you and I talk, the time just flies by.
I have never had a 3 minute conversation with you. Not once. Not once, Bob. Every time you and I have a conversation, it's always been more than an hour.
Easily.
And I consider myself privileged to be able to have these conversations with you.
Uh,
Like I said, Bob, I'm sorry. Here's a hero worship. Shut up and listen.
I
I respect and admire what you've
I
done.
find it very difficult to absorb to take comments like that.
That was funny. Um, you've done things, Bob, that very few people will do. And the stories that you've shared with me, that you've shared in your book and your upcoming endeavors, everything that you wrote for the publications that you wrote for, I went back and I was able to see some of the articles that you'd written in the past. And um, I was just absolutely enthralled. I'm not surprised Spiderhole did as well as it did. And I'm glad that you have, well, the second book coming out. That's absolutely awesome. So I can't wait to
Well, thank
engross
you.
myself in that one as well.
Well, you'll get a good autographed copy of it. So,
Well, that's most kind of you. I am, folks. There it is. I'm jealous. There's the autograph right there. So I am thrilled by it. I'm not going to show what the autograph says because it's not appropriate. But I think this is absolutely awesome.
oh no 4 letter words in there.
No, it's a personal note. You mean like the 4 letter words on my cup right now? Yeah.
I didn't see it, but I'm not going to ask about it.
Bob, it says, I'm trying to be less of an a-hole than I was yesterday. Baby steps. And
Hey,
then you and then you see the bottom.
I'm not going to try. You take you. I am me. You take me as I am.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely have no filter as well. And you just take it for what it is, and that's it. If you don't like it, what can I do? It is what it is.
What the hell? Anyhow, what do you call it?
I'm glad,
I'd
Bob.
like to reschedule the other program for next Wednesday. Oh, wait a minute. That's pushing Christmas.
Yeah, obviously we're not going to do that on Christmas Day.
No,
So,
we'll
but
talk. We'll talk in the next week or two and set a date for it. Instead of the original hard opening, we'll do a soft opening, and then go for a week or so after that to the hard opening.
the reality is, if we don't do it the 18th, which we're not, we're going to have to move it to, I suppose it would be the 8th, because then you have Christmas Day, the 25th,
Yeah,
and then
we'll
you
go
have
into
New
January
Year's.
after New Year's Day.
Yeah, so that would be the 8th.
Yeah.
And we will announce it. We'll let everyone know. And I can't wait to be able to get you going on that one. That's going to be exciting. I'm going to be riding shotgun for a while, but
Uh,
there are others that are going to be riding shotgun as well, Bob. So it's okay, man. You're not feeling well. It is what it is. So we'll get it going in 2025. So that'll be good. That will be fun, no doubt.
gotcha, my
And
friend.
folks, it's going to be a weekly program, anywhere from 30 minutes up to an hour. It might go more, but that's what we're looking at. Bob has the privilege of doing whatever he wants. And we were talking about it being anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour.
I'm
So,
called the Jet Setter, focusing on travel, entertainment, and dining out.
yes. Now, were you going to do the Broadway stuff as well? Or,
Well, that falls into the entertainment. There will be
ah,
some Broadway on it. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. You are almost opposite of Times Square, aren't you?
I'm about 15, 20 minutes in from the Washington Bridge.
Yeah, yeah, the
As a
GW,
joke,
right?
without traffic, and that's a joke. I can make it to Times Square in less than 40 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, and
Well,
you are so close on the map. It's crazy.
yeah, I love being in New York. I think New York, as much traveling as I've done, I think New York is the greatest city in the world. I love being there. I just hate going to it or coming from it.
Yeah. If you drive there, or if you don't drive there, do you have another option available that's reasonable?
Yeah, it's reasonable. Bus and subway. I drive in. I have NYP plates, which is New York Press, and it's kind of
Oh,
a you know, I don't even know what the word is to describe it. But it's a one NYP. I've been stopped by other newsmen saying, "Where the hell did you get that plate?" I won't tell them. I had a friend who was the head of highway safety department in New Jersey. He got
yeah.
it for me. Um, but I also have a park. I won't go into what type it is, but it's a parking permit, a plaque where I can park almost anywhere within common sense. Can't park obviously at a fire hydrant, where it says no stopping or standing. Emergency vehicles I can park otherwise almost anywhere. So it's easier to go in. Plus, it saves a lot of money for parking. New York is very expensive to park.
I bet. Yes. Yeah,
Well,
I wouldn't
you
want to
know,
do that.
I enjoy New York. Well, I've got a couple of people coming up. Um, excuse me. Ronnie Bloomberg's coming up. We're going to go for dinner. Um, what do you call it? I'm sorry.
Not at all, Bob.
Jesse Barfield and his wife Marla live in Houston, but they're going to be coming up. I'm going to take them to a place called the Hunt and Fish Club. I know the owner of it. He's married to a lady I knew since she was a little kid. Our mother, I dated her mother in college, and her father was my fraternity brother. But the Hunt and Fish Club now is arguably the biggest celebrity magnet in New York. And you go there, the food is out of this world, a little bit expensive, but it's well worth it. The food is fantastic. The people there are really great. So when Jesse and Marla come up, we're going to go there for dinner. And the same thing when Boomer comes up.
Boomer.
Boomer, Ronnie Bloomberg.
Oh, okay. Because
Yeah,
Boomer.
he had more nicknames than any other ball player. He was the Jewish little Abner. He was Boomer. I mean, he was several other things.
Okay, Bob. I hear you coughing, and I know you've stayed on longer than I know. It's very late over there. I have a final question for you. New York is a slice of pie and a dog. Okay, what is the best dog in New York? I understand it's the gray papaya. Is that true?
Wait, what is the best what in New York?
The best hot dog.
Whew. Stay away from not Sabret, but the corner hot dog sellers. Sabret's not bad, but I would think, to me, Cat's Delicatessen downtown.
Oh, I've seen them on one of those eatery shows or something like that.
Yeah, their pastrami sandwiches, corned beef sandwiches, out of this world. That's where the scene from Harry Met Sally was filmed. And I have a sign hanging over it. This is the table where, the woman said, "Oh, I'll have what she's having."
Oh my! You know who that was? That was John
Um,
Travolta's mom.
Yep,
What a classic line, Bob. Oh my! I mean, it's jeez.
yep.
I'll have what she's having.
But the way they do it, they have two types of service. You can sit down at a table and be served, but you can only sit at the tables against the wall if you're being served. Tables in the middle, you go up to the counter and you get your food. Though, but when you get your food, the Yiddish phrase for it is that they're going to give you a schmear. That's a slice or a smear. If you order corned beef or a tongue or a brisket or any type of sandwich, they cut several slices and give it to you so you get a taste of it.
And
Their
what's the name of
sandwiches
the
are huge.
and what's the name of the place again?
KATZ.
Okay. Yes.
I
Yes. You're right.
believe Canal Street. I think it's Canal Street, but I won't swear to it. But the line will go down the block waiting to get in.
Oh, I bet. Okay. In New York or in your neighborhood, Best place for matzo ball soup.
Best place for matzo ball soup. The Kosher Nosh in Glen Rock, New Jersey.
Okay.
Dan and I go there for lunch quite often.
Okay. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a chance to visit there. I've had matzo ball soup out here on Fairfax, and I forget the name of the deli, well known deli. I have to admit, when I walked in, I was floored by the aroma. It was a little difficult, but it was great. And it's the one and only time I've ever had matzo ball soup, and I loved it. And I've been wanting to go back,
Yep.
but I rarely ever get out to the west side.
Well, a
So,
lot of people in New York now are raving about the Second Avenue Deli. The only problem with it is it's no longer on Second Avenue. They lost their
ah,
lead. Lost their
okay,
leads.
yeah.
They have two locations elsewhere. I'm not quite sure where the hell they are, but we stopped off. My late wife and I, Sandy and I, stopped off there for lunch a couple of times, thinking as good as it was, uh, it's a shadow of itself.
Oh,
You've got a couple of decent ones, Ben's Deli, uh, and Katz. There was the Stage Deli that's gone. The Carnegie Deli is gone. It's well, they ran into legal problems. That's why they're not around anymore.
so Ket's Deli is on DeKalb Avenue in Brooklyn?
No, it's in Manhattan, Katz.
Okay, so
I
Ket's
think
Deli.
it. I think it. No, it's not Canal. I think it's on. It's on Houston Street. I think.
Oh, yes, there it is. I apologize. It's the second entry. It's Cat's Delicatessen. I
Yep.
looked for deli. The
Yep.
deli is in Brooklyn. This one is on Houston, in between Essex and Allen.
Yeah. Now, if you're an out of towner or if you're British, you call it either Houston or my Brit friend used to call it Houston. But if
Houston.
you're a New Yorker, it's Houston.
Houston. I did catch that. That's why when I pronounced it, I'm like, wow, that looks like Houston to me. But yes, Houston. I get it. All right.
There was a detective movie years ago, and I think it was on television that I saw it. And one of the suspects said, he was on Houston Street. As soon as he said that, I knew he was the criminal. He was the culprit.
That's good. I like it. Yeah. There's this guy in New York that does videos on YouTube, the pronunciation. And the daughter, I think his daughter, oh no, the boyfriend brings the girlfriend over and she does pronunciations and he's losing his mind because she says hot dog. He says, it's a dog, with the New York
Yeah.
accent. It's a dog. And
It's,
there's so many others.
but you know what it is? People don't bother to learn the pronunciation. There are some towns in my area that there's a town of Moonachie. I've heard Monarchy, Moonachie, Hohokus, Huhukus. They, you know, they don't know how to pronounce the names. The one that bugs me the most is when they refer to the highway as Van Wyck. I'm sorry, Van Wyck.
Ooh, Van
And
Wick.
I never knew that Dick Van Dyke changed his name.
Yes. Oh, I like that. So, do you remember the Yankee third baseman in 1985? The Italian kid that started with the P. It was Pagaliarul. No one knew how to pronounce his name, but Bob Starr, the announcer from the Angels, got it right. It's Piarulo, but it's Pagaliarulo.
Well,
Piarulo?
it's fun now with the Japanese players to try and get their names right.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah. Well, we try, but
Hey,
I gotta tell you, Bob, I think this is absolutely awesome. I think we should do a program on New York and Newark as well. That would be awesome. We'll have the map. We'll talk about places that you've been to, and that would be a nice coming to New York.
well, we'll have to work something out because between the Jet Setter and the Yankee program and the
Uh-oh.
New York program,
Oh my
either,
God, you
either
committed
you
to
or I are
the
going to go to sleep.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll have to find time. Now, Bob, I'm also available in the mornings too, so we can always talk about that as well. But wow, Bob, that warmed my heart. Jet Setter, the Yankee program. Think of a name for it, and we'll see. We'll see.
Give
Because
me,
that one,
the one who really came up with good names was my wife. Unfortunately, she's not around anymore.
yeah. No, I hear you.
And she was great. We would brainstorm the name for a column or an article or something, and I'd be banging my head against the wall, and she would come up, "Hey," I said, "Why the hell didn't I think of that?"
How many years, Bob?
How many years was I married? 55 and a half.
I
I'll
got
tell you,
31,
tell
Bob.
you a funny one. I mean, she was the greatest thing going. I mean, I'm seeing somebody now. I like her. But it's not the same. I dated this gal in high school, as a
Yeah, I
matter of fact.
remember when you told me that. Yeah.
But flying home, I'm at 30 some odd thousand feet. I'm looking out the window, thinking, "Gee, if she's in heaven, how come I'm not seeing her?"
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I go to visit. I go to visit every day. I got to tell you something. I saw this today. It was on Facebook or TV. I'm not. No, it was on TV. A woman finds a bottle floating in the ocean.
Yeah.
There's a note inside, and they finally get the cork off, and they're pouring what looks like sand out. It's all over her hands, and they empty the bottle. She's got the sand all over her. They pull the note out, and it said, "This bottle contains the ashes of my late husband."
Oh, yeah. Wow.
The
Wow.
look on her face was like, "Oh, I don't believe what I just have. I have a husband all over me."
Oh my goodness. I have a tiny joke. I'm gonna have to show it to you next time we meet. But did you see the movie by that famous comedian? Oh, I forget his name right now, but he did this movie called Life Stinks. His name was in the character, he was Goddard Bolt or something like a millionaire.
That
And he
was
was
just not, yeah.
Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it was Mel Brooks. And he says, okay, I'll flip you for the property. Better yet, let's bet. Goddard Bolt says, I will give up everything for 30 days and I will live as a transient or a bum, as they say. If I can do it for 30 days, I win the property. Well, there is a scene in Life Stinks, and it has to do with ashes. And I'm stalling, Bob, because I'm trying to find it. It is so messed up, man. And oh, I think I may have found it. Oh my goodness. Someone that they cared for passed away. And the guy said he always wanted to go to the ocean. And well, they're in Skid Row in Los Angeles, and to get to the ocean is about 30 miles away. So they go to the river, and it's really funny. So let me get through the ad real quick, and as soon as I do it, I'm going to play that one little scene, and it's messed up, but it's good. Let me see. Okay, okay. Forgive me a moment. I have to jump ahead. Okay, here we go. This is a guy who lived on the street with them and he passed away. So they can't make it to the ocean. Okay. And I think you'll recognize some of them. I can only play a little bit, but the guy's name is Sailor. And they're through the eulogy. They're standing in the LA River. Check it out, Bob.
Good luck.
Ah,
So long, sailor.
Bye, sailor.
All the best.
Bye, Sailor.
Bye, sailor.
God bless you, sailor.
Rest in peace, sailor.
but let me tell you something now. And this, this
That
is
was
a true,
bad.
this is a true story. I won't mention names.
Fair enough.
But there were two guys that I went to high school with. They were both about a year or so ahead of me. They became partners and they opened up a dude ranch. One guy passed away and he was cremated. His partner takes the box with the ashes, goes down to the lakeside. They hold a quick service and a sermon and what have you. He throws the ashes into the lake, and the wind blows it right back in his face. He turns around, he looks up, and he said, "Bobby, you son of a bitch, you had to have the last word, didn't you?"
Yes. That's good. That is awesome.
That's a true story.
Wow. Well, when I saw this, the horror of him throwing the ashes and it gets all over them. And they're like,
Yep.
oh, bye, sailor. Oh my God, it is so mean. But it's freaking hilarious. And that one is in the movie Life Stinks, 1991, Mel Brooks. And
He
what
was a
a
genius.
oh my God, yes. And everything he did just to make people laugh. The
Well, look,
man
when he came down the mountain with the 3 tablets,
I remember that.
and then he
I
dropped.
bring you the
I have these
15.
the 15 these 10 commandments.
That was funny. That was great. And when he did the space movie, Spaceballs, and of course Blazing Saddles, you know, people say you can't make that movie nowadays. Actually,
No,
Mel
no.
Brooks could.
Could you make All in the Family today?
Oh no, that's sad, but we could not. And yet, the man who is behind All in the Family. I mean, come on.
Norman Lear. Well, you know what the
Yeah.
problem is? We have lost our national sense of humor. 20 years ago, you could have an ethnic comedian get up and make ethnic jokes. They weren't nasty. People laughed. There was one woman who suffered from, I don't know, MS or some such thing. She was a comedian. She got up, she made fun of herself and other things. Again, nothing nasty. People laughed, but they were getting points across. Today, if you know, what did I see somewhere today? Oh, I think it was in the airport. There are 3 bathrooms: men, women, and optional.
Yeah. 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 Hey, when I was in the seminary, I was privileged to be there to study for 4 years of high school. We had a comedian who had been on the Tonight Show, and he came to entertain us for about an hour, hour and a half. And when he finished up his shtick with us, we were all dying laughing. He had a last word to everyone. He says, and to all of you budding comedians, if you're going to be a comedian, you have to laugh at yourself first. Laugh
Yep.
at yourself. Then you have the right and privilege to be a comedian. And that stuck with me, Bob. And I remember being a junior in high school, and I said, well, shit, Bob, if that's the case, I'll never be a comedian because I'll never stop laughing at myself. So,
Oh,
by
come on.
definition, I have to attack everyone.
I'm a practical joker.
Yeah,
Okay.
you are.
I like
Yeah.
pulling stunts on things. But if you're going to do it to other people, you've got to expect that they're going to come back and do it to you. And if
Yes,
you can't take it, don't dish it. Do you
I
remember
agree.
Nipsey Russell?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Nipsey performed at the hotel when I was on my honeymoon. Sandy and I met him years later. Hell of a nice guy. But I'll never forget one line. He gets up and he says, looking at the audience, all white faces. He said, "You guys use Mantan so you can be like me." I'm going to be like you. He said, "You use Mantan, I'm going to use Yellow Fella." You know, he laughed. It was a
Yeah,
natural joke. Nobody was offended.
yeah. Robin Williams. Oh my God! When he talked about being in Germany and he was being interviewed by German media, and they said, "So, do you think that you are funny, Mr. Williams? Do you believe that German people are funny?" And he says, I believe I am funny. He says, well, we do not. We do not find you humorous. And he said something to the effect of, did you think you killed all the funny people? Okay, okay. Robin Williams could get away with it. I would be dead.
Well, hey,
But
they asked for it.
yes, I will see if I can find that. That's a famous line. But then another Bob, he wasn't a generational talent. He was he was a one in a lifetime talent.
Yeah. What a shame that was.
Bob, I genuinely mourned his loss. And on Facebook, they were stupid people saying, "Why are you mourning? He was nobody to you. He was nothing, and you were nothing to him." And I said, as a matter of fact, in my case, you're wrong. The relationship that I had with Robin Williams was simple. He would perform, I would put my ducats, and he would make me laugh.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful relationship that I had with Robin Williams. And he was that way with everyone. He tried to make everyone laugh all the time.
He didn't try. He did it.
I'm sorry, you're right. He did. Boy, did he. Mrs. Doubtfire. Oh, my God. Bob, if you ever have a chance of looking at that movie again, you need to notice that a lot of scenes are shot over the shoulder. Because when he's doing his antics, the actors could not stop laughing. So they could not have them in the same scene.
Uh-huh.
So they did the over the shoulder. And if you look very carefully, Pierce Brosnan cannot control his laughter when he's in with him.
I'm gonna have to bring it up and watch it again.
Look
So
at the scenes.
a kid from my town played Mrs. Doubtfire on Broadway. I can't think of his name offhand. Started off in community theater. He played Chaplin, Mrs. Doubtfire, and what have you.
Wow. Bob, my greatest nickname. I had a lot of nicknames, a lot of good ones, a lot of bad ones. The one that the one that stuck for a long time and I hated with a passion. They used to call me the AB at work in the office. And do you know what AB stood for? The administrative bitch. Oh, Bob, that one grated on me. So a supervisor was coming down from Palmdale and he says, "I have a nickname for you." And I'm like, "Oh, for the love of God, what is it?" He says, "Doubtfire." But no, he says, "No, dude, because of all the stuff that you do."
Hey, when I was in the army as a platoon sergeant and a leader, I had a lot of nicknames.
Yeah.
None of which I can repeat tonight.
10-4. Yeah. I've had some nicknames. I've rarely ever told the one of Doubtfire. I know there was a tiny bit of ridicule behind it, but you know what? That one stuck, and I was so happy to get rid of the AB. That one, ooh, Bob, that one got on. Ooh. That one, it still gets on my nerves. The administrative bitch. I can look back and laugh, Bob, but I did not like that one. Thank God it was replaced by Doubtfire. And that one stuck for the last like 15 years. And I was all right with that, Bob.
Yeah. They
You know,
nicknamed me in high school in the April Fool issue. I was on the rifle team when they could have a rifle team at a New York high school.
oh, yes.
So the character who wrote the article called me Oklahoma Nesshoff.
Bob, in some of my writings, I created a character called Oklahoma Rick. Obviously, it was a ripoff of Indiana Jones.
Uh, my high school, I think, was long before yours.
I think so, yes, just a bit. Yeah. Well, wait a minute. Mine was it. Oh, yeah. Good job, Bob. Yeah, mine, I think it was in the 1940s when the seminary opened up. Actually, my high school was right next to the San Fernando Mission, one of the original missions by Junipero Serra. So it was really awesome being able to be there in San Fernando. I was walking distance from the gravesite of Richie Valens. Right there.
His cousin was a security officer for a hotel chain out here.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, even it's funny, Bob, the connections we have, but yours are real. You spoke to the people. I went to the grave sites.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what it is? People come into my office. I've got pictures hanging on the wall from George H.W. Bush, from Sophia Loren. I mean, a whole slew of people. Muhammad Ali. But these are people that I met because of the business that I was in.
Yes.
Most of them wouldn't have remembered me a week later. But I've got an autographed picture hanging on my wall. You know, it was a lot of fun. I loved what I did, and I was fortunate to meet a lot of people. You know, I was invited to the White House twice. You know, I'm sitting in the house one time. Somebody asked me if I had to do them a favor. I call the contact. We got a house full of people. My wife yells over across from Bob. The White House is on the phone. Everybody stops dead in their tracks. You know, but again, it wasn't me. It was the business that I was in, the position I held.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, the paper I worked
Funny.
for was the most important paper in the state.
Yeah. Funny you would say that. I spoke on Saturday and I said, folks, if you get a phone call from 202-456-1414, you take that call. That's the secretary, right? The switchboard operator from the White
Yep.
House.
Yep.
So I've said, if you get 202-456-1414, you take that call. They cannot spam that one.
Yeah. The only
So
thing is, though, you got to get a call from one of the major people. They're not going through the switchboard.
that is true. Usually the switchboard is connecting you to like another little office there.
If I was working there, my calls would come through the switchboard. I wouldn't rate a private line.
Yeah. I've told people you can call the White House and they politely tell you the president is not available. Would you like to leave a message? And if you push hard enough, they'll write it down. But the reality is they send you to a voicemail and you record your message.
Yeah.
And someone will hear it, but that's it.
Someone will hear some junior operative,
Yeah.
you know,
Someone like me.
or an intern.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. I have a letter, and I'll have to show this to you next time. I have a letter from Mr. Clinton, and it was right after the when he was impeached and he went to court and stuff. And it's on lime paper. It's not signed personally, obviously. It's one of those, I guess, the Mimia machines or whatever,
Yeah.
or the machine that did it. But I do have a letter from President Clinton, and it's
Okay.
in
Hang
my
on.
name. Yeah, but I know it's not his signature. It was done by a machine. It has value, but to me, it has quite a bit. It has intrinsic value.
Roger, I hate to do it. I am going to have
I
to.
know. We got to go, Bob.
I can't breathe right now, and I got to go do
Bob,
something about that.
I am so sorry. I look forward to
No,
speaking
hey,
to
I
you again.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed every minute of this.
And I thank you, and we will speak again. And let's just call it. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for stopping in. A wonderful surprise having Bob Nessoff here. You saw his book, Spider Hole. Contact him direct. You can see it earlier in the program. His contact info is there. And it's right here, Spider Hole. The second adventure, the continuing adventure, will be within the next 6 months, maybe less.
That's
Other
called
than that,
Shahid.
I'm sorry?
The second book, the sequel is going to be called Shahid.
Shahid.
Shahid. Those are the martyrs. You know, they die so they can go visit 72 virgins. The only thing I can't understand is if they're getting themselves blown up, what good is having one virgin, much less 72?
Without being rude, I thought the funniest joke was that they get 72 virgins, and all of a sudden the guy goes to where he the martyr or the terrorist, whatever, and he has 72 virgins. It's a bunch of kids with glasses and pocket protectors behind a computer. And very insulting to everyone, but I thought that one was funny.
Yeah,
I don't understand. And maybe that's another thing that we can discuss another day. We're
I'm
not trying to be disrespectful. We don't disrespect anyone here. We are open to everyone, and we thank you for stopping in. Other than that, that is the incredible Bob Nessoff. I am the humble Roger, and we will be doing some stuff starting next year. Bob, we'll see you on the other side.
If I don't speak to you before, have a Merry Christmas and a happy and healthy New Year.
Thank you. Shalom, young man.